Okay, Meg, your prompt is nighttime. All right, here we go.
Oh,
3, 2.
man, now that daylight savings time happened and it's getting darker earlier, it's really bumming me out more than I thought it would. The
Mm-hmm.
nighttime has come at 5 p.m. It is full dark. It's real sad. I'm
Hold on one
super.
second.
Oh,
Hey, welcome to the Overtalking Podcast with your hosts, Ken and Meg. Say hi, Meg.
hi, Meg.
This is the show where we talk over TV shows and movies, typically chosen by our guests, but CJ's still not here. He's still out traveling the world, living it up, while
Prob-
Meg and I are just here watching horror movies. So yeah, you get another episode of Meg and I talking about horror movies. October just never seems to end.
Man,
For
just what everybody asked for is
I know.
mom and dad talking about the horror movies they watch instead of going out and partying or whatever we're supposed to be doing. We're home watching movies
We're
every
home watching
single
movies.
night in October.
And we're not even sticking to the format again. So,
Nope,
sorry.
not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Meg and I watched a movie every single day or night in October. And even though that was a couple weeks ago, we wanted to take this opportunity to just run through all of those with y'all because there were a lot of them and some were really good that we want to recommend to you and some were not. And maybe then you can skip them for next year or whenever you want to watch a horror movie. But yeah, we dubbed it the 31 Nights of Horror. And
Ooh,
we watched at least one horror movie every single day in October. So
horror
uh
movie or short film, something
yeah,
something spooky every
something
single
that
day, every
qualified.
night. Hmm.
We're busy people. Some nights we have other things going on and we couldn't commit to a full movie. So there'll be a couple of YouTube shorts in here. There'll be I think one or two TV show episodes.
Hmm.
But some sort of horror content every single day. So we logged it all on our letterbox. You can find me at KDRISC01 on letterbox. And Meg, what's yours?
I have no idea. I think it's MS Meg. I really have no idea what I don't know even how to find that.
1 second.
My old initials and Meg
Yes.
were
Yeah.
where's what it wa- yeah, so it's Miss Meg, MS Meg.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it should be Mrs. Meg now. So
It is now, but I also don't know how to change it. So that's it. That's
divorced.
what
All right.
you heard it here, folks. Over my letterbox profile name.
We take
Divorce.
it very seriously here in the
We
Driscoll.
do
Oh,
now, actually.
and I got to cut that out. We take it very seriously here in this household. So, all right. Well, let's dive right in because this could easily go on for more than an hour, and we will see how tight we can make this.
We're gonna try to
Um,
make it quick. There's a lot of content to go over, but we'll do our best.
we'll do our best. So, night number one, Bride of Frankenstein. Guess what? We already talked about it 2 weeks ago. This
Whoop.
was that we just watched it early and we recorded a little bit early. So, a little peek behind the curtain there, but that was Bride of Frankenstein. We already talked about it. Moving on, night number two, The Omen.
Mm.
1976, directed by Richard Donner. Immediately after their miscarriage, oh boy, the U.S. diplomat Robert Thorne adopts the newborn Damien without the knowledge of his wife. Yet what he doesn't know is that their new son is the son of the devil.
Wah-wah.
Womp womp. This is kind of kicking off our theme for the month. We've done this a couple of years in a row now. Of we watch a bunch of horror movies and then we kind of notice there's like an underlying theme across some of the movies that we watch.
Completely unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
Last year it ended up being like nuns.
A
So
lot of
we
nun
watched a lot
movies.
of nun movies. And this year it's demon children and demonic pregnancies
Demonic
somehow.
pregnancies. Yeah. Have I announced on the podcast that you're pregnant?
I don't think so. I'm pregnant.
Yeah, we're expecting a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know how that didn't come up yet, but yeah, we are having a baby in February. So
Crossing
This
our
is
fingers, hopefully not demonic.
hopefully not demonic. Yeah, it was kind of weird that this is what came up for us this year.
Yeah,
Uh,
lot of traumatic birth movies, which was super fun to
uh,
watch.
yeah, not
But
great.
we'll go over that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
But yeah, what'd you
So,
quickly think of The Omen? Like,
well, I can't believe it took me this long to watch it, but I thought it was pretty good. Um, I gave it 7 out of 10.
okay,
I
yeah,
liked it a lot.
gave it 8 out of 10. I had seen it before, but it had been quite a
Mm,
while. But it was a lot more dark and scary than I remembered it being, and for a '70s movie too, I think it held up incredibly well and is a really well made movie. So,
yeah.
um,
Usually I get kind of bored, but I this one held my attention. I really liked it, and I could see why it's still regarded as a really good horror film.
yeah, and we watched this in preparation for a movie we'll be talking about a little later, because the first Omen came out earlier this year. So we will be talking about that in a bit. But yeah, that's The Omen. Next up, third night, we watched a sequel to a movie we watched last year's 31 Nights of Horror called Veronica. You can watch that on Netflix. But this is actually a prequel to that called Sister Death. It came out last year. We intended on watching it along with Veronica, but we didn't get to it. So this was kind of a circling back to wrap that up kind of thing. Um,
It's a nun
2023.
movie,
It's a
so
nun
we
movie.
should have
Yeah.
watched it last year, but we got nunned out, I think,
Yeah. We didn't
and
want
reached
another
reached a
nun.
point. But
Spain,
yeah,
1949. Narcissa, a novice, arrives at an old convent converted into a girls' school to work as a teacher. Wow, that's the whole
that
plot.
says nothing about the plot at all. I guess that's good for a synopsis, but yeah, it I don't know. Nun goes to Covenant, or sorry, Nun goes to convent,
Mhm.
which is now a girls' school. Weird things are happening. Horror ensues, I think,
Horror
is
ensues. Yeah,
yeah,
weird nun horror imagery.
weird nun
There's
stuff.
there's there's some weird backstory going on that she's stepping into. For me, this was not nearly as good as Veronica, so I
Mm,
highly recommend Veronica if you're looking for. Uh, Both of these are Spanish language, by the way. I don't think I
mhm.
mentioned that. They're both on Netflix. Veronica is genuinely scary and
Oh,
amazingly well
good.
shot.
I keep
Um,
recommending Veronica to everybody I talk to. It's such a good movie. And Sister Death was just it was fine. I liked
just
it.
fine. Sister
Yeah,
Death is
it's okay.
a small character in Veronica, and they decided to make this movie. It doesn't matter. You don't need to watch it if you've watched Veronica. I think I'm really over nun movies, and I just
Yeah.
gave this like it was still decent. I gave it a 6 out of 10, but it's just
I
fine.
yeah, I also gave it a 6 out of 10 just because it was better than just okay. I
Mhm.
did enjoy it. There were some really good parts to it, but yeah, overall I was like, man, too many nuns. I feel like you see one, you see them all. It's like the same thing. So,
That's right. These nuns
that's
wore
my hot
white,
take.
so or
They
no, because
were
she was a
dressed,
novice. That's
yeah, they
why.
were dressed
Yeah,
a little differently. Their like habit things were shaped differently. But
all right. We spent too much time talking about this
yeah,
movie.
way too
It's
much
it's
time.
not
It was
worth it.
not worth it.
Night number four, we watched Children of the Corn from 1984. Meg, do you want to read the synopsis for Children of the Corn?
A traveling couple end up in an abandoned Nebraska town inhabited by a cult of murderous children who worship a demon that lives in the local cornfields.
He Who Walks Behind the Rose. This is based on a Stephen King, I believe, short story. Um,
Scary
and
children.
scary children. I guess that kind of fits. Yeah,
Mm,
no births, but
mm-hmm.
scary children. I had seen this before. It had been a while. Megs, this is your first time watching it, right?
Yep.
And we actually watched it as part of a Joe Bob's Last Drive-In thing, which I've talked about on the show before, but for those who don't know, it's kind of a like wraparound show around a movie, where like like Svengoolie, right? Like late
Elvira.
night,
Yep.
yeah, late night horror host. His name's Joe Bob Briggs. He's a movie reviewer. He usually reviews drive-in movies, or used to, but now he hosts this show called Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. And one of the movies he did was Children of the Corn. So he'll interject randomly, cut out of the movie to talk about the history of the movie and fun things like that. That made the movie bearable. The movie
Uh-huh.
itself is pretty bad.
Oh my God. It is that whole movie is just like driving through Iowa. It's corn. You're just it's it. It's so
Hmm.
boring. I fell asleep. Um the opening scene was really good and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be such a interesting film." And then it was like, "Nope, it's not." That's it.
Yeah, that's really it. I do want to read my letterbox review because I'm pretty proud of it. I wrote, "It's corn, but it didn't have the juice. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing." Hopefully you get that reference. Uh, I gave
Could
it
not
2 out
stop
of
singing
10.
that.
It's
Oh,
corn.
that's what I gave it as well. I just because I was so sleepy during all of it.
I believe that is the single lowest score I gave across the entire month, including the Music Box of Horrors. So yeah, we only got to go up from here, and we are about to, because night number 5, we
Ooh.
watched the original Suspiria from 1977. I actually
Hmm.
have this on 4K Blu-ray I got for a birthday a couple years ago. Um, an American newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to realize that the school is a front for something sinister amid a series of grisly murders. Um, I love this movie so much. That's why I got the 4K Blu-ray. We watched it on it. It looks incredible. The colors in this
Oh,
movie are outstanding.
what a
Uh,
beautiful film to watch. Just absolutely stunning with all those
mhm.
colors. And oh, yeah, I finally understood why Ken is obsessed with 4K. Um, it finally opened my eyes to that. It was just it was a beautiful film to watch. It was so
Yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah.
So
We
good.
were fortunate enough to watch it, and outside of a theater, in the best possible way. And the soundtrack for this, I'm sure many people have talked about it before, but Goblin is the band that does the soundtrack for this, and it is catchy as hell. It's amazing. It really sets the vibe for the whole movie. The whole movie's a vibe. I love this movie so much. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 out of 10
Okay.
only because I just wanted to see more of what was going on. I would have liked more, but I
This is streaming on
appreciated the whole
Amazon
thing.
Prime right now.
Mm,
We do intend on watching. There was a remake that came out a couple years ago. We'll probably watch that
mhm.
next year, um, which I have not seen yet, but I am looking forward to.
Yeah, that's I guess tune in next year to hear us watch that one maybe. I don't know
Maybe, I don't
if we're
know.
gonna save it for the 31 nights or we'll see.
I
Yeah.
I do not anticipate with a new child that we will be able to do this next year. But
The
you know,
kids got to learn at some point that this is who their parents are.
for my
This is
birthday,
us.
Meg got me, well, really for our baby, a onesie, and on it says, "Shh, I'm watching horror movies with my daddy."
Hmm.
And I love it, and I cannot wait to put my baby in it, and we're gonna watch horror movies, and she's not gonna know. It's a girl, by the way. All right, Meg, what did we watch on the 6th?
Well, on the 6th, we did a super fun double feature where we watched The Town That Dreaded Sundown, 1976 film, and then The Town That Dreaded Sundown, the 2014 film.
Yeah,
Follow-up film. It's it's kind of like a sequel, but not really.
so hold on to that. Let's talk about the original first, the 1976. Synopsis is: when two young lovers are savagely beaten and tortured on a backcountry road in Texarkana, Local police are baffled and must find the phantom killer before he can kill again. And it's a pretty generic, um, not even really it's a little bit of a slasher, mostly like a almost slapstick police
Reenactment, right? Like it's
drama.
supposed to be reenacting what really happened in this town.
Yeah, they say
Is
it's
that
based
correct?
on they say it's based on true events, and they do kind of go beat by beat for what actually happens. So that's interesting. Um, what'd you think of this, Meg?
It was fine. I gave it I gave it a 6 because I thought it was pretty good. Uh it had a lot of interest interesting kills, and I think one of the weirdest kills I've ever seen in any slasher film.
Oh, that's right. It's
Yeah.
totally a slasher then. Yeah.
No, no spoilers, but it was really it was
It's a
wild.
it's a musical instrument themed kill is all we'll say. It's
Wild.
it
Never seen it anything
very
like that
unique.
before. And then just like a couple goofy characters, it took me out of it a little. So I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be funny, if we're supposed to be laughing at it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was pretty good. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Mm,
I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a very mixed bag tonally.
mm-hmm.
Um, but it was fine and mainly watched it just for this double feature because next up, same day, we watched another movie made 40 years later called The Town That Dreaded Sundown. And that movie, um, I don't think the synopsis is really going to make sense, but a masked maniac terrorizes the same small community where a murderer known as the Phantom Killer struck decades earlier. And that's not quite true
Mm-mm.
because the first movie is telling the story of uh it's a portrayal of a real life event that took place in Texarkana.
Real using air quotes there.
Yeah, it's probably massaged a bit. This sequel is kind of a meta sequel where in this sequel, the original movie exists as a movie. So
Mm-hmm.
they show people like at a drive-in watching the original, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, in Texarkana. So they but still in that town, that movie is based on real life events that happened, but it's the movie is still a dramatization of those events. So
Right?
it's really weird.
The same way that they had in Scream, it was slash, right? Was that what their
Stab.
stab? Sorry, thank you. My God, I'm gonna get my horror card taken away for not knowing that one. Stab. Yes. Everybody knew about that movie, and it's like, oh, that's what happened in Westboro. It's the same thing. Everybody knows that this is their town's legend, and every year they have like a big drive-in and they watch that film and
Mhm.
yada yada yada. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, this is in 2014. It's a very product of its time. It's
Hmm.
a lot more dark and gritty and scarier because of that, but also there's a weird twist ending that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense or isn't justified, and it's kind of all cheap. But there's a lot of nods to the first movie, which make it kind of enjoyable as a double feature. I gave it a 5 out of 10, Meg.
I also gave it a 5 out of 10. I think the
Okay.
ending is what pulled it down there for me. I didn't get it. So, yep.
Yeah. Okay. And the next night, what do we watch?
We watched Disturbing Behavior, 1998 film. Steve Clark is a newcomer in the town of Cradle Bay, and he quickly realizes that there's something odd about his high school classmates. The clique known as the Blue Ribbons are the eerie embodiment of academic excellence and clean living, but like the rest of the town, they're a little too perfect. When Steve's rebellious friend Gavin mysteriously joins their ranks, Steve searches for the truth with fellow misfit Rachel.
So yeah,
That sums it up.
This stars James Marsden and Katie Holmes when they're like super young. Um, I I'm not sure I had seen this before. I don't honestly remember. Had you?
I've never even heard of it
You hadn't heard
before.
of Disturbing Behavior? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Um, yeah, I don't want to spoil the twist, even though it's kind of the whole plot of the movie. But um, yeah, kids are slowly becoming perfect, like changing their look and everything, and kind of joining this like at our high school, they had what was called the Blue Crew, and it was all the jocks, and they would all wear their letter jackets and do all of the fundraising stuff, and that's kind of what this cult was like. Um, and it was fine. It was a late '90s horror movie, so it kind of just felt like that. Um, yeah, I don't want to spend too much more time on it. I gave it a 4 out of 10, though. It was just fine.
Yeah, we are so on the same page. I also gave it a 4 out of 10.
Okay, nice. All right. The next night, Meg was burnt out, so I watched the movie on my own. uh, she got through 1 week without being burnt out, and you did really good for the rest of the
I
month.
did.
I don't think you took a break after that, but
No, but I knew you wanted to watch this film, and I was like, I'm fine dipping out of it because I don't want to watch it, which was
VHS Beyond, brand new movie, came out beginning of October. So 2024's VHS Beyond. For those who don't know, VHS is an ongoing anthology horror series. I think this is like the sixth one in or seventh in the line. They come out with one new one every year now, it seems like. And this one was sci-fi themed. So all of these segments were very either related to aliens or like robots or something like that. Um, and since it's an anthology, some segments are better than others. Um, Meg, who is the guy that I can never remember his
Justin
name?
Long.
Thank you, Justin Long, and his brother actually directed one of the entries, which was interesting. And Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel, I believe is her name, uh, wrote and directed another one, which was actually my favorite. Um, and that's the one that closes it out. So if you want to fast forward to the last segment, I would highly recommend that one. That one's crazy. Um, but overall, it kind of averages out to just okay. There's been better collections for individual VHS movies than this one, in my opinion, at least. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And I don't want to spoil any of the individual segments because they're so short, so I won't really talk more about it. But if you know it, you might want to check it out, or at least try to watch the last segment. It's on Shutter. I know almost no one has that, so you know, no one cares anyway. All right. Uh, on the 9th, this is one of the nights that we had other things going on, so we threw on a YouTube short that I had actually seen previously at a Music Box of Horrors a couple of years ago. And it's called Great Choice from 2017. It wasn't on YouTube for a long time, and it might still be, hopefully. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's a oh, let me pull up the synopsis.
A woman gets stuck in a Red Lobster commercial, and it won Best Short at the Overlook Film Festival. That's all you need to know. She's stuck in a commercial, and
Yeah, it
it
keeps
was a
repeating.
yeah, it was a great choice watching that one because it was really good. I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. It was memorable, and that's why I remembered to pull it back up. Yeah, it just keeps repeating, and things get more and more weird, and she slowly realizes that she's in a commercial and can't escape. Um,
Did it make you want Red Lobster at all? Were you like craving
yeah,
lobster as someone
they
who is a huge fan of lobster?
they
I
were
forgot to ask you
promoting
that.
they were promoting a great deal for
It
like
would be a great choice to go there and get
it
that
was like
deal.
30 shrimp and like a lobster tail or something for 10.99, and I'm like, wow, that's great. Great
It
choice.
was the different kinds of shrimp too, like shrimp
Oh, that's
three
right.
ways or something, right?
Yeah.
4 ways? Yeah.
I give it 7 out of 10. I like it.
Me too, 7 out of 10. It
Okay,
was quick and really good.
cool. Man, we are going hot. Sorry. Uh Night 10, we watched The First Omen. We alluded to this earlier, and this is the prequel to the original Omen. When a young American woman is sent to Rome to begin a life of service to the church, she encounters a darkness that causes her to question her own faith and uncover a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. We actually did watch a lot of nun movies, I just realized.
Whoops.
And
Nuns. Yep.
God, we
Yeah,
cannot
I think
escape
at
these
this
nun
point
movies.
there was a lot of them in the last couple years too.
Hmm.
There was a lot of nun content coming out, and yeah, this one had nuns.
This stars Nell Tiger Free. It must be her name. Is that the right? Yeah, she
Hmm.
was in Servant, if anyone watched that show on Apple TV Plus. Um and this was actually pretty okay for a prequel.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It fully led into uh what they talk about in the Omen, and I didn't really notice many or any plot holes, and yeah, not too bad. We had a traumatic birth, and so tick that off. But
Nuns and a traumatic birth, man. We
yeah.
were ticking all the boxes for sure.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was pretty good for being what it was. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, you liked it more than I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you didn't like the
Hmm.
gore, and that's understandable. Night
Y-
10, we
Yeah.
watched It's What's Inside, a brand new Netflix movie that is debatable whether or not it's actually horror. I thought it was. It's not necessarily.
No.
It's probably more genre, or maybe even sci-fi. I don't know. A pre-wedding party descends into an existential nightmare when an estranged friend shows up with a mysterious suitcase. Um, I don't think it would be too spoilery to talk about what the suitcase does. If you don't want
Uh,
to know, maybe skip ahead. What do
yeah,
you think,
mute
Meg?
for a little bit. I think that's fair. It's
It's
definitely
really
not the
quick.
main
Okay,
point. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. It's a body swapping movie. So a bunch of college friends get back together before a wedding and they swap bodies, and hilarity ensues, more or less, but also chaos ensues because obviously things can go wrong there. But spoilers are over. I thought this was very well made. I thought the way that they portrayed some of these flashback scenes were amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How would you describe that? It was like a photograph, but then like individual parts of the photograph would change while a character was talking about what happened.
Yeah.
And and it was a really cool thing I'd never seen before.
Right. Like there might have been two people describing what happened at this party, and
Or they
as
disagree, and
they disagree, and they're like, no, no, so and so was there, or it was so and so's birthday, and like the image we were looking at would change to reflect how they're remembering things. I thought
mhm,
that was really cool. The use of color in this film was also really cool.
right.
It felt a lot, I think we talked about, it felt a lot like Bodies, 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 where you have this group of people playing this game, and different drama happens between people, but it was really good. I did not know what to expect, and I totally went into it blind, and was pretty blown away at how much I enjoyed it, actually.
Agreed. Yeah, I gave this a 9 out of 10.
I did too. It was very good. Definitely not horror, I wouldn't say. It wasn't scary. There's, you know, maybe more of a thriller aspect at near the end. I don't know. It was not scary. It's totally worth watching.
Hmm.
Not a scary film. So
Agreed.
just
Yeah,
putting that out
really.
there for anyone.
Yeah, this is a really great watch. It's on Netflix, so go check it out. Definitely one of the recommends. Okay, then on the 12th, it was
Day of
the
October, my true
it,
love gave to me. Nope.
it was the second Saturday in October. So we had to watch a double feature. And this is kind of a unique double feature. This came out in 2022. Both movies did. They're both by the same director, writer. Um, and the 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 a little bit of backstory here. The idea behind this is that both of these movies are entries in a fictional long-running horror franchise. Um, and you're intended to watch part five of this horror franchise first, and then to watch the quote unquote original after that, um, to kind of mimic the experience of going to a blockbuster back in the day. And maybe they only have the fifth entry of whatever franchise you're looking for. And that's kind of where you start. And you maybe don't get all of the references, but it's still a good time. So it's
There's
anyway,
no part two, three, four. There, it's just those two
just
movies.
those two presented as movies that came out uh back in the day. So the first one we watched was the third Saturday in October, part five. And this was meant to be the fourth sequel, uh, released in the 90s, to a movie that we'll be talking about secondly, called The Third Saturday in October, that had been quote unquote lost to time. Um, yeah. So, okay, what's the synopsis? It's part five. Unstoppable killer Jacariah Jack Harding is back in town after 7 years as he stalks and kills at random before chancing upon a football watch party. The game is, of course, between longstanding rivals, the Alabama Mobile Seahawks and Tennessee A&M Commonwealth. Chaos ensues in increasingly ridiculous fashion with inventive murders and multiple love triangles. Hearts are broken and appendages are torn.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, for those who know, the third Saturday in October, I'm not sure if this is a real thing or not, but it's apparently a big football weekend in Alabama, Tennessee. I don't know. Um, yeah, I liked this a lot without having seen the original. It really did feel like the fifth entry in a horror franchise where like the kills are over the top and they're
Mm.
like aware that like yeah, people are just tuning in to see like dumb teens get killed.
It's a
And
little funny at this point. Like
yeah,
the characters are dumber and say things that we're all like, "Oh my God, you're next. You're gonna get killed." So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a good watch.
yeah, it felt like watching Friday the 13th part four or five or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, very, very funny with the dumb situations they put the people in. And
Hmm.
um yeah, I really liked it. I can only give it a six though, apparently.
I mean, yeah, I gave it a six as well. It wasn't like the greatest thing, but as far as a a slasher film, I guess it was fine. It was good, and then to know that it was meant to be watched in a certain way also added to the kind of fun of it. Of like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to watch the next one to see what references I'm not getting right now. Um, like what it all means. So I enjoy it. This was a good double feature, I think. I really enjoyed watching it back to back
Yeah,
almost.
it's a really unique experience to watch this. I don't know. I did really enjoy that. Um until I watched the second movie.
Yeah.
The third Saturday in October, also released in 2022. A lost slasher film from the golden age of the slasher genre, October 1979. Ricky Dean Logan is a man on a mission. Years ago, he lost a child at the hands of a psychopathic killer named Jacariah Harding. When Harding escapes death row, Ricky Dean throws himself into the line of fire to stop him from killing again. As Harding preys upon a group of friends gathered to watch a college football game. Um, and yeah, this was basically the part five, but without the fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's trying to establish itself as a slasher film, so it's way more the tone's different. It's way more serious, I guess you would say, but I believe I wrote it was the right decision to watch part 5 before this one because I wouldn't want to continue if it were the other way around. This one was just pretty boring, I think, compared to it was slower and that
Yeah,
made it
it was
boring.
The pacing was too slow. It's
Hmm.
watchable. It's totally watchable. I gave it a 4 out of 10. It's not the worst
Same.
thing in the world. It still was kind of fun to be like, oh yeah, that's why this guy drives a hearse around, or why he was driving a
Yep.
hearse around in part five or whatever. Like,
Yep.
that
To
was,
to get the references was
yeah,
nice, but
there
I'm like,
weren't nearly
man,
enough of them
no.
for it to matter. So
I
yeah,
barely
still,
remember this movie, so that's how much I didn't really care about it. It was I had to look at some screen grabs to remember what the heck I was watching. So yeah,
I
it was fine.
remember it. I think it was still an overall fun experience
Yeah.
together,
Yeah,
but the first movie was a lot more fun. Um, so that's all.
definitely.
Okay. Well, we watched Night 13.
Night 13, we watched the 2017 film Terrified. This is about a police commissioner and three researchers of supernatural phenomenon investigating inexplicable events that are occurring in the suburbs of Buenos Aires. So
Yeah, this
another
is
Spanish language film.
directed by Damien Rugna, who directed When Evil Lurks, which we covered on this show last year. So this is the movie he directed before When Evil Lurks. And it's I had seen it before and I wanted to show it to Meg because I remember when I had watched it initially thinking this is one of the scariest things I had ever watched at that point. Um, and I think it held up. Meg, what did you think of Terrified?
It was very scary. Yeah. I love that you showed it to me because it was so good. Um, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really thought that everything was it was really effective and it definitely had my heart beating at a pounding at certain points. Just oh man, some of the imagery I can't get out of my head, and that's how I know it's really good. I cannot stop thinking about a couple scenes. Um, Very similar to like the scene in Hereditary that I also cannot get out of my head, which I won't spoil that either. But yeah, there's some pretty effective things that are happening, and
Yeah.
it was very, very good. I would highly suggest watching this at night when you're alone
Oh
and
man. CJ could never.
no, you could never. Don't watch this, CJ. You would not
There's
recover from it.
just to whet everyone's appetite for this movie. There's one scene where a child had been hit by a bus earlier, and suddenly, after the child had been buried, he shows up and is just sitting, his corpse sitting at their dining room table. And police are like, "How did he get here?" And there's footprints leading up to where he's sitting, but he's just a corpse and
Oh man,
very creepy.
the slow groan I think I gave out when finally when I saw that, like just being like, "Oh no, what's going on?" It was scary. It was terrifying. I liked it.
there's there's a lot more there's a lot more and a wide variety of pretty horrific images. I gave it an 8 as well. I would have liked to give it higher, but I
Hmm.
think the plot doesn't do a good enough job of connecting all of these really scary scenes together in a
Hmm.
cohesive fashion.
Yeah,
All of the characters drive it together, but like I think Damien Rugna did a lot better job of establishing a world where these kind of terrifying things can happen in When Evil Lurks, which I think I gave like a 9 out of 10.
mm,
So, but still totally worth watching. I mean, 8 out of 10
yeah.
is excellent.
If you're looking to get scared, if that's it. But like, if you're looking
Yeah.
for the plot to totally like wrap up nicely for you, I can't tell you why what was happening, was
Hmm.
happening. I don't know what was going on, but the things I was seeing were very scary and effective. So
Yep.
go check it out.
Absolutely. Okay. We are gonna run over an hour.
Holy shit.
Okay, we're gonna try to go rapid fire as best we can. Night 14, we watched The Cursed, which is a 2021 movie. In the late 19th century, a brutal land baron slaughters a Roma clan, unleashing a curse on his family and village. In the days that follow, the townspeople are plagued by nightmares. The baron's son goes missing, and a boy is found murdered. The local suspects, the locals suspect a wild animal, but a visiting pathologist warns of a more sinister presence lurking in the woods. This movie features a really creepy set of silver teeth, and
Mhm.
it's I don't think too big of a spoiler to say that it's a kind of werewolf movie, but not totally. There's more going on here. Um,
Yeah. A
and
really cool creature that I've not seen
yeah,
before. It was definitely original. I liked it.
very original. It's a period piece, but I'm usually turned off by that. But this was just
Hmm.
really well made, well done, and genuinely scary. And the creature's really awesome. So
Yeah.
if that sounds awesome, go check out The Cursed from 2021. I give it a 9 out of 10.
I gave it an 8 out of 10 only just because the pacing was a little bit slow. But I
Okay.
knew it was ramping up to something good, which it did. But yeah, a little slow there in the middle, maybe a little long. But definitely go check it out, though. It's worth it.
Yeah, Terrified and The Cursed, two definite recommends. Okay.
Now, the next night, which was, I think, the 15th, we
Mhm.
watched the 2023 film Dark Harvest. In a small Midwestern town, a deadly annual ritual unfolds when the mythical nightmare, Sawtooth Jack, rises from the cornfields and challenges the town's teenage boys in a bloody battle of survival.
Yeah, this is kind of like if there were a purge night, but the intention was just to kill a like Pumpkinhead, basically to kill
Yep.
Pumpkinhead. Um, and I actually thought this would have made like a really cool Pumpkinhead sequel. Um,
Yeah.
but this is based on a book that I have not read, but I wanted to read, but I decided to just watch the movie because it came out. And I wish I had just read the book because the movie
Yeah.
is just okay. There's some cool parts. The Pumpkinhead thing is really cool. The overall idea is really cool, and I'm sure the book is excellent. But the script really needed some work. All of the actors were just pretty bad.
I-
Um,
I'll say the supporting actors are pretty bad. The main
yeah,
the main kid, a couple main characters were really good, but the supporting cast was like over the top, overacting. It took me so out of it. I just was like, this is too weird. So, I gave it a 5 out of 10.
I did too.
I liked the vibe. I liked where it could have gone. The creature was cool. Um, but yeah, just know that you're not getting the best rating out of this one. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty mid. Would
Pretty
have
mid.
liked it to be better, but maybe
Yep.
check out the book.
Yeah, I do want to read that.
Yeah. All right. Night of the 16th, we had to watch something short. We have both seen this before. The Scooby-Doo Project. It is, I don't need to read the synopsis. It's the Scooby-Doo gang basically reenacting a Blair Witch Project. I think we had even mentioned it on the show before. I gave it a 10 out of 10 because it's good for
Ooh.
what it is. It's cool. The cool thing about this is that they basically shot all real life footage and then drew in the animated characters like over it. So it looks like they're in the real world doing stuff,
Mm.
which I liked. And it had the real life, the real voice casting too. Came out in 1999. You can find this on YouTube. Meg,
Yeah.
what'd you think about it?
Oh, I gave it a 8 out of 10. It's not scary, but
Nope.
CJ could watch this one if he
Yep.
hasn't already.
Yep.
It's good.
Yep. Short enough. It's good.
Yep.
Okay. Night of the 17th, we watched Red Rooms from 2023. This is a French language movie, I believe.
Yep. I
Um,
think so.
the high profile case of a serial killer, Ludwig Chevalier, has gone to trial, and Kellyanne is obsessed. When reality blurs with her morbid fantasies, she goes down a dark path to seek the final piece of the case's puzzle. Um, and yeah, I really liked this movie. It's about a woman who's becoming more and more obsessed with this serial killer who's on trial. Who did he do it? I don't know, but the thing he's on trial for is brutally killing and recording and distributing the video on the dark web, a couple of teenage girls. And that's what the red rooms are. It's like a live video room that you can watch a live stream of basically a snuff film. And she becomes more and more obsessed with it. And the whole idea is that this movie explores why it seems like some serial killers get a like following or like
Yeah,
often
weird
like,
fan base.
yeah,
Yeah.
weird fan base after they're caught. Um, but yeah, it presented in a really interesting way. I didn't really know where it was going to go the whole time,
Mm-mm.
and uh, kept me guessing. The subject matter is very dark, but thankfully they don't actually show you any of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I would have been out. I would have been totally done with that movie.
yeah,
I wouldn't really call it horror, although the content that they're discussing in the trial is horrific and awful, and obviously it's about a serial killer, but it's definitely like nothing pops out at you, nothing scary. There's no jump scares. It's just a really interesting
well-made
film.
movie.
Creepy. Definitely creepy, eerie feeling, like had me feeling uncomfortable, but in a good way, I guess.
the the
Whatever that
movie
means.
the movie basically opens with a single shot of the opening arguments for this serial killer's trial.
Yeah,
All
that
one
was
take,
so good.
amazing. And the movie doesn't take place in the courtroom. I mean, parts of it do, but it's mostly following this woman as she goes
Man,
day to day throughout this trial. But
I meant
um,
to look more into that shot. That was such a long scene and it was all one take, I believe. That was incredible.
yeah,
So cool. I gave this film an 8 out of 10.
I gave it a 9 out of 10. Highly
Wow, look
recommend
at
it.
you.
Yep.
Definitely go
I
watch.
go watch it. I don't think it's streaming anywhere. You'd probably have to rent it. Okay. The night of the 18th, Meg didn't watch anything. I was downtown in a hotel room prepping to get in line for the Music Box of Horrors.
That's right.
So I kind of half watched The Platform 2. Um, if you haven't seen The Platform, that's a really great movie on Netflix about uh, uh, a jail where there's X number of levels stacked on top of each other, and the cells are basically all connected in the center by a large hole. And each day there's a platform that passes down the hole with a bunch of food on it. And basically the top levels get to eat. And by the time it reaches the bottom, there's basically nothing. And it's basically an allegory for, like capitalism, top down um, distribution
Oh my
of
God,
wealth
that's
and
what
things
this
like
was.
that.
I remember you telling me about the first one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Platform 2
Oh,
revisits this world, but puts a religious spin on it. Yeah, I didn't think it was very good. To be fair, I wasn't totally paying attention, um, but it was just fine. I gave it a 5 out of 10. If it might be worth it, but from what I hear from other people, it also just doesn't really hold up. So check out the original platform. They're
huh.
both on Netflix. That's all I gotta say.
There you go.
All right, we can skip all of the 19th because that was the Saturday of the Music Box of Horrors. We already talked about
Right.
it.
You guys already listened to that, right? If not, you stop and go listen to it because I'm on
Mm-hmm.
that one too.
Mm-hmm.
And then come back and pick up so that you're on the same page of where we are in our timeline. Thank
That's
you.
right. And Meg, what do we watch on the 20th?
We we I'm pretty I have Shadow of the Vampire. Is that correct?
No,
Okay. Then I
that's the
have missed something.
21st. I don't remember. I thought we watched something on the 20th, but I didn't
I
mark
don't
it
have
down.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Well
don't think we
then
did. I think we took a break
we
because
took a
you were
break because
burnt out.
we had also watched the second half of the Music Box of Horrors that day.
Right.
So
So technically we watched something, but it
yeah.
was Music Box of Horror. So
Okay. So the
okay.
21st, during the day, I watched a movie without Meg called The House That Jack Built. And this is a 2018 movie uh, directed by Lars von Trier. Failed architect, engineer, and vicious murderer Jack narrates the details of some of his most elaborately orchestrated crimes, each of them a towering piece of art that defines his life's work as a serial killer for 12 years. This stars Matt Dillon and also features Uma Thurman and a few other people that you'll recognize. Um, it's a very vicious serial killer movie. I didn't even rate it because it's just really kind of gross. Like it's all from the serial killer's perspective, and I don't think this is really a spoiler, but it's like his recounting of his life as he journeys into hell. Um, and it's really a commentary on Lars von Trier's work and how he uh, hasn't really been the best received person. Um, and I won't go into too much detail there, but yeah, it's something I had put off watching just because I knew the subject matter was very uh, hard, but it was still an interesting watch, and that's all I got to say about it. But in the night, we watched Shadow of the Vampire,
Okay, yeah.
2000s Shadow of the Vampire.
Now I'm
Uh,
back on track.
Now we're back on track. This one stars Willem Dafoe. Director F.W. Murnau makes a Faustian pact with a vampire to get him to star in the 1922 film Nosferatu. So this is literally a fake retelling of the actual creation of the real movie Nosferatu. Um, if they had found and hired a real vampire to star as Nosferatu, so it's kind of got this funny setup, and uh, John Malkovich is the director. Willem Dafoe is the vampire, and Udo Kier's in it as well. Um,
Nice.
Amazing, we love him. Um, I remember I watching this in college for a horror film class and thinking it was hilarious, and it's funny. Uh, Willem Dafoe is pretty funny, and towards the end, John Malkovich is kind of funny too. But it's not really a comedy. It's actually kind of dark, um, and kind of slow. And I didn't really have a whole lot of interest in it. And I gave it a 5 out of 10. Meg, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. 5 out of 10. It was slow, kind of funny. Willem Dafoe's like already kind of a vampire, so casting made sense. And yeah, he was great. He was really weird, but yeah, it was just fine.
Just fine. All right. What do we watch on the 22nd?
22nd, we watched Creep 2,
Mm-hmm.
which stars, of course, Mark Duplass as a very convincing creep. So after finding an
Hold
ad
on.
online,
If you've not seen Creep, do not listen to the
oh,
synopsis. This is basically what I described as the original Creep for Meg, not realizing it was Creep 2 because I had
that's
mixed them
right.
up in my head, and it kind of spoiled the first Creep. So skip ahead a little bit.
That's
Um,
right.
but yeah, go ahead, Meg.
After finding an ad online for video work, Sarah, a video artist whose primary focus is creating intimacy with lonely men, thinks she's may found holy crap. Thinks she may have found the subject of her dreams. She drives to a remote house in the forest, meets a man claiming to be a serial killer. Unable to resist the chance to create a truly shocking piece of art, she agrees to spend the day with him. However, the day goes on, she discovers she may have dug herself into a hole from which she can't escape. That's
That's
the
funny.
synopsis.
Yeah. Maybe let's not talk more about it. I really don't want to. That didn't actually spoil anything, but I don't want to spoil it. It's. I really like this movie. I like Creep as well. And I think Meg would have liked it more if I hadn't spoiled that as well. But we watched this because they're actually making a series
Mm.
coming out in November on Shudder called The Creep Tapes that kind of continues this character that Mark Duplass plays in both of these movies. But I gave this an 8 out of 10.
I gave it a 6 out of 10. If Mark Duplass is genuinely creepy. Like
Mhm.
I wanna like him. because I know who he is, but then you're just like, oh my God, he keeps doing the weirdest shit and definitely made me feel uncomfortable. And I was internally screaming, like, why is she being alone with this guy? He's all of the red flags are going off. So it's successfully creepy. Um, but I'd give it a watch. I did like it, even though you spoiled it for me, the first one.
Yeah. Well, we haven't spoiled it for anyone listening, so go
That's right.
check them out. They're really good. They're on Netflix. And then the night of the 23rd, we're making progress. Quick one, we watched a YouTube short called The Armoire. A struggling actress moves to Hollywood where she discovers a piece of furniture in her apartment is haunted by a malicious ghost. There's really no plot here. It's just jump scares and not even very good ones. And one of my favorite Peloton instructors just shows up at the very end for no reason. I gave it a
Not as a
4 out.
Peloton instructor,
No,
just
just
as
as an
an actor.
actor. Yeah. Bradley Rose, shout out for no reason. I gave it a 4 out of 10. It's not very good.
I did not care for it. I gave it a 2 out of 10. I
Yeah.
was not interested.
Night of the 24th, we watched Halloween H2O from 1998, 2 decades after surviving a massacre on October 31st, 1978. Former babysitter Laurie Strode finds herself hunted by persistent knife wielder Michael Myers.
I feel like
Uh,
that's enough of a
that's it.
synopsis.
Yep, I'm going to
Like,
stop there.
yeah.
She has a son now who's Josh Hartnett, um,
Hmm.
and Ice Cube is in it or sorry, LL Cool J is in it as well.
Nobody told me Josh Hartnett was in this movie. I would have watched this a lot sooner if I knew that 1998 Josh Hartnett was in it. That would have definitely got me in there.
Yeah,
But
this is
that's all I'm saying.
there's multiple timelines to the Halloween franchise, which we don't have time for now. Uh, but I feel like the original Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O is the golden timeline for me. Uh,
They call that the H2O timeline, I believe.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I really like it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's still not the best, but it is in terms of the Halloween sequels,
Yeah.
one of the better ones for me.
I agree. Six out of 10. It had some good kills. It had some good moments. It was worth the watch. You know, a lot of Halloween movies are pretty bad. So this one was fine.
Yep. All right. Well, we watched on the
Oh my God.
25th.
25th, we watched the 2004 film Satan's Little Helper, which is about a naive young boy unknowingly becoming the pawn of a serial killer.
Yeah, we
This
watched
little
this again as part of a Joe Bob Briggs wraparound. So we got a little backstory along with it. But this is I
crazy.
believe, direct to video 2004 movie about, yeah, a dumb little kid who is obsessed with Satan. And there just happens to be a serial killer going around dressed as Satan on Halloween night. And
Yeah.
he wants to help him out.
It looks like it's filmed like a Disney Channel original movie. If anyone understands what that means, it's very much like straight to VHS kind of
Yeah.
acting and quality. The plot was crazy though. Like that it was very creative. I enjoyed that, but like acting was bad. Writing was
But
pretty
like
bad.
fun bad though.
Yeah, it was it was entertaining to watch. I
Uh,
gotta say it's
um,
not my favorite, but it was entertaining.
Amanda Plummer's in it as the mom, if you know who that is, and Catherine Winnick is also in it, um, as the like hot girl. She's in a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So not like complete unknowns in this, right? Like
right.
Amanda Plummer is a huge actor, but yeah, just I gave it a 4 out of 10. I
I
was
gave it a
just
5
like,
out of 10, but I
ugh,
still recommend it if
yeah.
someone's looking for something Halloween themed, that's kind of kooky. This is a good one.
Yeah, knowing that it's like kind of bad, would you would enjoy it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. The 26th during the day, we watched a YouTube short, and this is the best YouTube short we watched entirely.
Thank
It's
you,
one that you
TikTok,
found.
for, yeah, or thank you, Instagram Reels, for showing me these little clips of this that I was like, we gotta watch it. It is called Finley, and it was, I guess, directed in 2019. Right, a ventriloquist doll tries to kill a group of college kids who have moved into his house. That's what it's about. It's funny and creative, and I really liked it.
Tries to kill a group of college kids that move into his house. The I think we could just say it because it's what's going to make people watch it. It's about a killer ventriloquist doll that's like bad at his job and like keeps messing up his kills, and like the people he lives with like are just kind of fed up with him. It's really funny. It's
They've
awesome. I
just
love it.
accepted him as a roommate,
Yeah.
and just knows that like he's trying to poison them or trying to like set up traps for them, but he can't quite get it right. And so they're just kind of annoyed with him. Um, it's really good. I am so glad that we got to watch this one, that I stumbled across it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's if Chucky was bad at his job. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Really like it, highly recommend on YouTube. Finley.
yeah, seven out of 10 for me. It was um really funny.
Okay. Then the throughout the rest of the day, we also watched the original miniseries It from 1990. I don't think we need to talk too much about this. It's about Pennywise the Clown terrorizing a bunch of kids back in the day, and then also adults later on. Um, Meg, I'm just very impressed that you're watching full-on clown movies now.
Yeah,
And
I'm not scared anymore.
no,
A big deal.
big deal. I had seen
Um,
this before. I thought the back half was a little long.
hmm
I know it's a mini series, but it still felt like it dragged a little bit.
Yep. 6 out of 10 for me.
7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. I liked it. Acting was great. Seth Green's in it. It's pretty cool. I
There's a
didn't know
couple.
that.
There's other people in it too. There's
John Ritter's in it.
John Ritter, and then obviously Tim Curry is Pennywise.
Yeah. I mean, he was so scary. A lot of his scenes were super scary, I think, still. So for being a mini series, it was really, really good. So go
Yep.
check it out and conquer your fear of clowns, just like I
hmm
did.
That's right. Then the night of the 27th, we watched a movie that Meg and I are split on. It's
Yep.
1992's Brain Dead, or you might also know it as Dead Alive. It's directed by Peter Jackson. If you saw the cover art, you would recognize it from if you ever had been to a Blockbuster back in the day. It's a woman who's like peeling open her mouth, and there's like a creepy little face inside of her mouth. Um, Look it up. You'll recognize it. But it's something that I had always seen at Blockbuster. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I need to watch that someday. And finally, we watched it.
That's what was interesting, is we both had that shared experience of seeing it in the movie store, and not being like scared of the box. Like it was just very like, what is this movie? Not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
Finally got to watch it, and yeah, I think this is the first time we disagreed
Yeah. So
so
the
greatly.
quick, I knew nothing about it, but here's the quick synopsis. When a Sumatran rat monkey bites Lionel Cosgrove's mother, she's transformed into a zombie and begins killing and transforming the entire town while Lionel races to keep things under control. And that's the basic plot, but the tone of this movie is basically slapstick gore. Um, it's if Evil Dead went even further. Um, and the comedy is hilarious in this movie. Meg was turned off by the gore, so she couldn't appreciate it. But holy cow, there are some repeating gags that happen in this movie that are so freaking funny. If you can keep your lunch down while you watch it.
It wasn't just the gore, because I'm not, I mean, some of it got to me. It was the body horror. I don't think I am a fan of body horror. And in any film, TV, whatever, I don't like to see people eating. I don't like the sounds of people eating, the mouth sounds. gross me out. And so this one specific scene, I was like, I literally might throw up because there was body horror and eating, and it was the worst combination for me. I could totally get past like the ending with all of that gore, I was fine with, but it was the combo of the body horror and the eating that absolutely did nothing for me.
Yes, absolutely. That
Hard
pudding
to watch.
scene
Oh my
also,
God.
I felt like I might throw up, but it's
Ugh.
still ridiculous.
Yeah,
It
I can
starts
see why
out,
people like it. I totally get
yeah,
it. It's just not for me.
you can't find this anywhere right now. So, uh, it's surprising considering it was all over Blockbuster, but uh, if you can get it, you should watch it. It's
No, don't do
if
it.
you can stomach it.
No, don't do it.
I gave it an 8 out of 10. Meg, what did you give it?
I gave it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, that's
I
wrong.
I totally can see why people like this film. I appreciate the comedy. I really do. It's just it's not what I want to be filling my time with. So, not for me.
All right, 6 more movies to go, and one's a
Woo,
short.
speed her up.
So stick with us. Hopefully you're splitting this up a little bit on your commute. On the 28th, we watched Hell House LLC Origins, the Carmichael Manor. This is from 2023. It's actually the third sequel to Hell House LLC, which Meg and I love very much.
Hmm.
And I purposely skipped Hell House 2 and 3 because those are supposed to be pretty bad. But this one's supposed to be pretty good, and I thought it actually really was. A group of cold case investigators stay at the Carmichael Manor, site of the grisly and unsolved murders of the Carmichael family back in the 80s. After 4 nights, the group was never heard from again. What is discovered on their footage is even more disturbing than anything found on the Hill House tapes. And that's maybe true,
Yeah.
actually. Um, I like Hell House LLC for other reasons, but I
Hmm.
think this one might be scarier.
I agree.
At least there's definite moments towards the end that are freaking scary, and if you don't like clowns, you won't like this one.
No, again, I am very, very brave because this is clown heavy. Um, but oh my gosh, I love this movie and the original Hell House LLC. So good. Again, the slow groan that I give every time they peek around a corner and you're expecting a jump scare, except it's just like you're slowly seeing something there. It's so good. Seriously had my heart pounding. Very, very scary. I really, really I'm not a huge found footage fan, but this is my jam. I like this.
Yeah, this was very good. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's on Shudder again, so but you can probably get it other ways. What'd you give it, Meg?
8 out of 10 as well, and I
Yeah.
hearted it. It was so good.
Oh yeah, so
I gave it a
good.
heart.
How do you use hearts? Do you use them sparingly? I use them pretty much for anything that I like thought was pretty good.
I use them sparingly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm giving it my stars, but if I really liked it, gets a nice extra heart.
Hmm. I give it a
Yeah.
heart. Yeah, if I just thought it was a good movie, I give it a heart. Basically,
Oh,
like if it's something that I would recommend,
you're just
potentially.
giving out your hearts freely. If you
Well,
want
it's
some real reviews, come over to MS
no.
Mag and see where the real likes come. No, just kidding.
Go to mine and just look for any of the hearts and be like, oh, okay, this is a decent movie. Like that's the easy way to weed out the crap that I watch. So
That's
uh
true.
on the 29th, we watched Apartment 7A. This is a follow-up to something we watched actually in November in preparation for this, which was Rosemary's Baby. This is the prequel that just came out in 2024 on Paramount Plus. A struggling young dancer finds herself drawn in by dark forces when a peculiar, well-connected older couple promise her a shot at fame. And again, this is continuing our theme of devil children. Um,
Gotta do it.
Got to do it more so in Rosemary's Baby than this one because they don't quite get all the way there, but they start to.
Yeah,
Um,
there were some plot holes or some things that
there
happen that
are,
don't line up
yeah,
with
yeah,
Rosemary's Baby. So after watching it so recently, we're like, Yeah, it doesn't really make all the sense, and we got to a point where we're like, hey, that's not how it happened in Rosemary's Baby. So because of that, I only gave it a 6 out of 10. There was a scene that I thought was really, really creative that the main character's experiencing something, but because she's a dancer, she's experiencing it kind of like a musical. Is it really happening? Is it not happening? I thought it was a really cool way of, seeing or experiencing her kind of like reality of what was going
Being
on.
impregnated
So,
by a demon. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I also gave it a 6 out of 10. Yeah, continuity didn't quite line up,
Yeah.
but I thought it was still okay. And it had some interesting Suspiria nods, oddly enough.
Yeah. Colors and it was really it was enjoyable, but
Mhm.
not the best if you're looking for like a true prequel, but
Yep.
still good.
And then, so we watched that in the morning on the 29th, which was my birthday. And then in the evening, after a nice birthday dinner, we came back and we watched one of my favorite pieces of horror media of all time, Cigarette Burns, which is an episode of a show that used to be on Showtime called Masters of Horror, where each episode is basically its own story, I believe either written or directed by a very famous horror writer director. This one is John Carpenter's iteration of a very unique story about a cursed film that Norman Reedus is trying to track down. Synopsis is: with a torrid past that haunts him, a movie theater owner is hired to search for the only existing print of a film so notorious that its single screening caused the viewers to become homicidally insane. So Norman Reedus is hired by Udo Kier. Hey, we love Udo Kier.
Hey.
So yeah, hunt down this like really weird movie that people think doesn't exist anymore. It's definitely cursed, and what happens and unfolds is beyond belief, but not really. But it's really it. I really like it a lot. I gave it a full 10 out of 10, full heart. I
Wow.
love this so much. And I was telling Meg this, but like cursed films is like my favorite subgenre of horror. There's a
Hmm.
couple different other examples that I can't think of right now, but this was the first one that I had seen, and I just really enjoyed it when it came out. Acting's not the best everywhere, but I'm willing to overlook it.
No, Norman Reedus's reads were really off tone. Whatever. Um, I gave it a 7 out of 10, and my review of it was drink every time someone says the title of the cursed film because they were saying it a lot, and I feel like that would be a good drinking game.
Yeah, what was it? It was like omelette du fromage or
Yeah, it was Omelette du fromage. Yes, absolutely.
it was some French title. I can't remember what it was, but
I can't remember it either, but they said it a lot, and after a while, I just kind of thought it was funny. But cool, cool film, cool
check
little
out
short.
Cigarette Burns if you
Yeah.
want to understand my horror tastes just a little bit more. All right, the 30th, we didn't have a ton of time. We watched a YouTube short called Vicious. It there's really no plot. I'm not even going to read it. It's just jump scares, and it didn't really make sense. I gave it for some reason a 5 out of 10, but that should be lower. I'm
I didn't
adjusting
even
that.
rate it. I was like, this is not worth
I'm
my
giving it.
rating. So
I'm retroactively giving it a 2 out of 10. Okay,
okay, fair
moving
enough.
on. We're on to the good stuff, people. It's
Whoop,
Halloween
whoop.
night, and we had saved one very special movie to talk about on Halloween night or to watch, and that was 2024's Late Night with the Devil. And I am sad that we aren't doing a full episode on this. And maybe we'll have to circle back to it at some point. But I'm really glad that we held off on this. It's well, I'll tell you. A live broadcast of a late night talk show in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. That's not very descriptive, but it's a Halloween episode of a late night talk show. And you get to see kind of behind the scenes footage as well. And they are trying to commune with a girl who's maybe possessed by the devil, and things don't go great. Um, yeah, the acting was I thought was excellent. I thought the story was really unique, and
The
it's
effects were great.
yeah, really great. Love it. It's on Amazon and Shudder. Uh, nope, just Shudder. Uh, yeah, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought this was perfect for watching on Halloween night, but really you can watch it whenever.
Yeah. I gave it an 8 out of 10. We kind of have this Halloween night theme that we always watch like a live broadcast gone wrong
Hmm.
film. So we've watched Ghost Watch, WNUF Halloween special, like that. These are the kind of stuff that we kind of save for Halloween specifically. I'm not sure how that started, but I kind of love that we do it every year now. And that's why we saved this one. Because it's live broadcast gone wrong. And boy does it go wrong. I'll definitely check it out. I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love that we do that too because it feels like, you're watching it on Halloween night.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually on TV, like you're watching it live, or you can pretend like you're watching it live.
Yeah. This one was
Um,
definitely more because it cut from live to, what was going on behind the scenes if you were actually in the studio. So this one was a little bit different, but mostly hung on to that
yeah,
feeling.
that illusion is not carried over for this one, but WNUF Halloween special
So
100%
good.
feels like that.
Yeah.
And so does Ghost Watch, both
So good.
highly recommended for Halloween night
Yeah.
to watch in the future. And then we had to watch one last one, and that was a full-on Ghost Watch ripoff called Haunted Ulster Live that just came out
The
this
Irish
year.
version. Yeah.
An Irish version of Ghost Watch, but like it's supposed to be from the 90s, but it's not really. Um, it's on Screambox, which no one has. On Halloween night, 1998, TV veteran Jerry Burns teams up with popular children's presenter Michelle Kelly to investigate poltergeist activity in a haunted house in Belfast. And they hold seances, and there's some unique ideas that are introduced in this movie, but Meg fell asleep by that point, so it
It
didn't really
was
matter.
late. I was tired.
Um,
uh,
my
I
recommendation
got the
is to
gist.
skip it and go watch Ghost Watch, which has a very interesting real life backstory that we can talk about at another time. But
Yeah.
I give this a 5 out of 10 because it was still okay, but it made me just want to watch Ghost Watch.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I just have a little place in my heart for these kind of films. So even though it was Ghost Watch, I still liked it because that's the kind of genre we like to watch on Halloween. I enjoyed it.
That's right.
Even though I fell asleep, I did like it.
Absolutely. And that was our 31 Nights of
Woo!
Horror.
We got
So that
through
is
it.
everything we watched in October. If you listened to last episode, you heard literally everything we watched in October.
Hmm.
And next week, we'll be hopefully back to our regularly scheduled programming, and CJ will be back, and everyone will be happy. And thank you for sticking with us. Hopefully, you got some good recommendations out of this. Again, you can find me on Letterboxd at KDRISC01 if you want to circle back to any of these movies. Meg is MSMEG on Letterboxd. And oh no, they're here. It's the Overtalking Overlords. They're here to remind me to remind you if you like the show, please go on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and rate and review where applicable. Reviews are what help people find this podcast. Also, we spend no money in advertising. So if you'd like the show, please tell a friend and spread the word. We really appreciate it. Thank you. You can call or text us at USACat 1591 or find us on all the things at Overtalking Pod or overtalkingpod.party. It's a real website. And Meg, since you're here, do you want to do the closing credits?
This episode of the Overtalking Podcast was produced by Ken and CJ, edited by Ken?
Yep.
Ken did it this time.
I did everything this time.
Yeah. Um, this week's special guest was me, Meg. And the music was by Justin Peters, logo by Nate Richards. You should check out Nate's work on Instagram at Nate Richards Designs.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.